Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'd. Ahbatu fillah. The Salafi Da'wa in Disarray. So what this title implies, this does not take away from the Da'wa to Ahl Sunnah, the Salafi Da'wa. But what it's referencing is that the Salafis and those people who claim themselves to be Salafi are in disarray. That they are having disharmony. And that they are having problems, and some of the reasons is ignorance. Some of the reasons for that is ghulu, or it being extreme, that some people make tabd'ee, declaring their brothers to be innovators, for sometimes out of hizbiyah, because they believe that you're an outsider to their minhaj or their clique or their group, so then they'll make tabd'ee of you. Or that you differ with them in an issue, so then they'll make tabd'ee of you. Tabd'ee meaning declare you an innovator. Or, and these are also traits that the original Khawarij had, only that they made takfir instead of tabd'ee. So it was worse than tabd'ee. It was tabd'ee, but it was actually that you're a disbeliever because you differ with us. Like the Azaraka. This is what one of the original Khawarij groups, the early groups, that they believed that anyone who disagreed with them, just for the fact they disagreed with them, were disbelievers. And likewise, you see this trait in modern groups like Daesh or ISIS and Boko Haram, al-Shabab, and other groups, because they believe that basically you're not a legitimate Muslim, you're not authentic unless you are on their creed and their aqidah. They don't have any, everything's black and white. Likewise, you'll find individuals who believe that they're Salafi, but they make everything so black and white, and they try to make the minhaj as small as this pencil, when in fact they don't even have the right to do that. So that's what we have to understand. They don't have the authority to do that, although they will say that other people are broadening the minhaj. No one has the right to broaden the minhaj. The minhaj is the minhaj. And the reason it's a minhaj, it's because it's a way that people traverse. And this way is the way that the Prophet ﷺ described when he drew a line in the sand. خط لنا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم خطا ثم خط على يمين وقال هذا سبيل الله ثم خط على يمين وخط على اليسار وقال هذه سبل على كل سبيل الشيطان يدعو له وكما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم drew a line in the sand. And he said, this is the path of Allah. And then he drew one on the right and he drew one on the left. And he said, this is the various paths. And on the end of every path, at the head of every path, is a shaitan that calls to it. Meaning calls to that path of Jahannam, calls to that path of misguidance, calls to that path of bid'ah, calls to that path of hizbiyah. The Prophet ﷺ said, افترقت اليهود على 71 فرقة وافترقت النصارى على 72 فرقة وستفترق هذه الأمة على 73 فرقة كلها في النار إلا واحدة قلنا من هي يا رسول الله قال من كان على مثل ما كان عليه وأصحابي. The Prophet ﷺ said, the Jews will break into 71 sects, my ummah is the Christians 72 sects, my ummah is 73 sects, all of them in the fire except one. They said, who are they, Ya Rasulullah? He said, those who are upon what I'm upon and what my companions are upon. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. Letting us know that the sabil, that sabil Allah, is what the Prophet ﷺ was upon and his companions, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. The path of the Salaf Salih. So it's not sufficient that we just divide and we think that we're the Salafis. We represent the Salafis. I can't say that I represent anybody. But it would be safer and more humble and the way of our ulama to say that we're on the path of Ahl Sunnah bi'idhnillah. But not to put yourself up as you are the Salafis. That if someone disagrees with Khalid Green, that they're disagreeing with Salafi. No one can claim that. How can you claim that? And this is part of the problem where the Hizbiyah has crept in very discreetly with some of our brothers and sisters. Because they believe that every time there's any criticism of them, they claim that you've criticized Salafiyah. And that means that you've criticized Islam. Now, who is brave enough to beat their chest and say that they are the representatives of Islam and the Sunnah? That it's them. Instead of being humble and saying, maybe I made a akhta here. Maybe I should check myself here. But so this is a very dangerous thing and one of the reasons why we're in disarray and we have split. Likewise, there are some individuals who don't adhere to those principles at all that they studied. They sit with anyone. They support anyone openly without looking at really any true maslaha shar'i, without any consultation from their brothers and sisters from Ahlul Sunnah. And in fact, you'll see that they aim their tongues at their brothers and sisters from Ahlul Sunnah. So you see that they have, as they say, mummaay'i, that they have belittled and demeaned the principles of Ahlul Sunnah. The point being that all of those paths lead astray. That we are ordered to be on the middle path. We're ordered to follow the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and adhere to those qawa'id and principles to the best of our ability. Ittaqullah mastata'tum. Fear Allah as much as you can. And that's adhering to Kitabillah wa Sunnatu Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. As the Prophet ﷺ said, خَيْرَ النَّاسِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونُهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونُهُمْ. The best people is my generation, then those who follow them, then those who follow them, letting us know that that is muqayyid, that is restricted, that when we say we follow Kitab wa Sunnah, it's according to the Salaf of this ummah. It's according to the first three generations, the Sahaba, Tabi'een, wa Tabi'i Tabi'een. So, with that being said, we don't claim piety for ourselves. And we strive our utmost to adhere to those principles to the best of our ability. And avoid this discord and this disharmony and immersing ourselves in controversy. And it's upon the youth to really just seek knowledge and get away from that stuff. If someone is busying you with this, the latest statement from this brother, the latest statement from this one, the latest belittlement of this one, and you find yourself spending your time with more with that than the Quran, more with those things than the Sunnah, more with those masail and issues than with fiqh, and you don't know much of any of those things, then you know that you'll be a part of that problem of disarray and discord. And you'll be left at the end of the day not knowing much about your deen, but knowing more about fitna and believing that you are actually coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by following that path of discord and disharmony and disarray and fragmentation and splitting. So a last point I want to mention with that is, as the scholars mention, al-ibra bi haqa'iq laysa bi musammiyat. And actually I learned this principle from our sheikh, which is a well-known fiqh principle, but where I heard it often was Sheikh Abdullah al-Mar'i al-Adani, Sheikh Abdullah Adani, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, our sheikh from Shehr, or used to teach in Shehr, Hadramaut, in Markaz Dar al-Hadith there. And as he explained, and as we know from the explanations of the ulama, that al-ibra bi haqa'iq laysa bi musammiyat, that the reality of something is in its substance, not in its name. Let's make this clear for us. This is a cup. And I think all of us would probably agree that this is a cup, a semi-blue cup. It's been through what it's been through. There's a coffee cup. But if I declare this and I say, no, this is a cell phone. This is a laptop. No one, I think probably next to no one's going to believe that and accept that. No matter how much I believe that, no matter how much I claim that, the reality of this substance is it's a substance that you hold fluids in. It's a cup. Likewise, the one who claims they are Salafi, no matter how much they claim it, but all they do is bid'ah, all they do is practice hizbiyah, then al-ibra bi haqa'iq laysa bi musamiyat. The reality is in their practice, in their aqidah, in their minhaj or methodology, not in their claim. So we have to understand that, and I want to articulate that as best as I can for our youth, and I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts barakah in this and spreads it, because this is just from my learning experience over many years, as seeing some of the problems that we have today, which we've had for a long time, but I think now there is a different type of splitting that we just, in my time in the Da'wa and so forth, I haven't seen anything like it, aside from those fitna of people who did go astray amongst mashayikh that we saw, like Ma'rabi and Faleh al-Harbi and others who we saw who went astray, who either suffered from mummaay'i, which this would be Abu Hassan al-Ma'rabi, or ghulu, which would be Faleh al-Harbi. And there's many others who follow in their footsteps. But the point being is the fitna we have today. We have so many people, so many youth involved in things that don't concern them at all and contribute to the fire of the fitna. Speaking about ulama like nothing. People who don't know how to pray. And this gets us to the first quote in this treatise. Imam al-Albani said, and this is on the cover page of this treatise, he was speaking about an individual, the ignorance of the people. There's some people so ignorant, and then it's almost, they claim for themselves that they're like they're students of Jarh wa Ta'deel, or students of hadith, or students of whatever they claim for themselves. But some of the people don't know how to pray properly. Some of the people can't recite the Quran properly. And here's what Imam al-Albani said about individuals like this. He said he can't even recite an ayah from the Quran properly. Even if the noble mushaf were open in front of him, let alone the fact that he will make many mistakes when simply reading a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. It is the love of fame. It is the self-centeredness. I am here. I have knowledge. MashaAllah about me. Allahu Akbar. That is a powerful and profound statement that Imam al-Albani said now over 15 years ago. Rahimahullah ta'ala, rahmatullah alayhi. So, ahabati fillah, it shows us, and I'm going to recount some real stories. When I first came to Medina, I remember a brother who was getting ready to graduate from Kulliyat Hadith. I didn't agree with him, and I would say he was mummaay'i in his principles. Anyhow, he said something about Sheikh Rabi, and I didn't like it. And I didn't like it not because I was ta'asibli Sheikh Rabi, but I felt it was a belittling of an alim. You shouldn't speak like that about the Sheikh. You belittled him. You could say you disagree with him, but you actually belittled him. So I don't, I can't relate to that. So he mentioned what he mentioned. But what he mentioned that was true, he said, a problem that we have is we have youth, and he related this to me, that we have youth. A particular brother, I don't know if this was in Canada or where it was, because he was Canadian, and he mentioned to me that this brother who, mashallah, he's really strong and grounded in Jarh wa Ta'deel and this and this and this, but he couldn't read the Quran at all. Subhanallah. That is what Imam al-Albani is referring to, and we've seen countless times of people who don't know, right off Salafi scholars. They don't even know Arabic, so they can't benefit not even one of the scholars at particular conferences and stuff. But they'll write off the whole conference and say only one sheikh was Salafi. But yet this particular individual, I know an individual like this, without saying their name or just. But this person didn't know how to pray properly. This person did not know how to pray properly and had problems, issues, major issues with the salat. But yet they wrote off ulama. They wrote off ulama of Ahl Sunnah, ma'ruf bi Sunnah, sanawat, sineen, who studied with major scholars who have ascended. You know, they have the silsila of ilm, they have the chain of knowledge, but they just wrote them off like nothing. And so this is the danger of involving ourselves in affairs we shouldn't. And this contributes to what? It contributes to disarray. And we ask Allah the Almighty to accept our good and forgive our evil. Wa sallallahu alaihi wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.